All right, guys, welcome back to the Canadian Real Estate Homefront Podcast. Brooke is back in the house. I know there's many fans out there who love Brooke, who love Brooke more than me, and we love your inappropriate comments that you make about her.
I don't know if we love them.
It helps the algorithm, so keep those coming, guys, you weirdos. But anyways, it's been a year since we started this pod.
Happy 1 year.
It's funny, I get all these like reminders of like all the videos we had and how far we've come, but we can't thank you guys enough for building up this community and supporting us and even supporting our businesses through buying and selling with us. So just to have a little plug here, if you do want to work with us, you can click the first link in the description. You can see what we're about. Again, we don't make you sign anything. It's just a conversation. See if we are a good fit for you. That's all we do. So you really have nothing to lose other than to get to know us a little bit better and see if we're a good fit. And if it doesn't work out, no hard feelings. So without further ado, let's hop into the pod. First topic.
So I sent this to Cortez, and Cortez already had it saved as one of our podcast topics. So we were aligned with it because it's pretty interesting. So Trudeau announces a $2.4 billion budget to accelerate Canada's artificial intelligence sector. Okay, so the investment will be divided between a number of measures meant to advance job growth in the AI and tech industry and boost businesses' productivity. This announcement is a major investment in our future, in the future of workers, and making sure that every industry and every generation has the tools to succeed and prosper in the economy of tomorrow, was a quote that he made when announcing this. I reshared a podcast clip from like last year even of the old age homes that were bringing in essentially robots and AI to interact with older people that may have dementia or I guess in palliative care once they're over 90, just to have some sort of interaction, which is kind of creepy and crazy to think about, but it's also replacing jobs too. So this is to help jobs, but the more this type of thing happens, that essentially would take place, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we always say the more technology grows, it enhances productivity, but in those little instances, if an AI robot can essentially do what nurses and caretakers were doing, then
I think people need to embrace AI. Like people get really scared of it. Like we embrace it in our business. Like I'll give you an example, like all the reels that you see that are cut up, like AI cuts them up for us. It's not perfect. So like we don't think a robot can do a nurse's job better, but like companies look for ways to cut costs, and AI is going to be a part of that regardless of what you do. Like you go to the grocery store, the checkouts, self-checkouts are a new thing. So you need to embrace it and then find ways to make it help and work for you. My Tesla, I just got the full self-driving package. I didn't pay for it. It's like the 30-day free trial. And I was like, let me try it. It is insane how this thing drives. Like it'll change lanes for you. It stops at like, there was an orange light coming. Like, sorry,
an orange light.
It was a green light and it was going to be yellow.
Yeah.
And I saw it going red and I'm like, oh, I wonder what this car is going to do. And it instantly stopped for the red light. It was nuts. And it just shows you that, we won't be driving one day. Like you're going to one day be able to hop in your car, tell it where to go. And you're going to sit in the back seat or the front seat and you're going to do things that are productive for you. Like you're going to work, you're going to make calls, you're going to be on your computer and it's going to drive you there. Or I can just send it out and do Uber for me. I could literally just send the Tesla out, be like, go pick up people all day. I don't need you anymore. I don't need you during the day. Like go make me some money. So obviously like I can't guarantee these things are going to happen.
It'll save me money. I mean, right now my bumper is being held on by duct tape. I haven't gotten it fixed yet. I will do that this week because it's very embarrassing showing up in showings with duct taped bumper.
Yeah.
But I imagine there's some consequences from that. Although, you know, you're saying embrace it, just like the consequences that can come from that being introduced to our society right now. There's going to be people that don't like it. And then of course, on top of that, the amount of conspiracy theories that I hear in my head right now of how society is going to take seeing these things. So it is a little scary. And of course, it's new. Anything new is going to be scary until
it takes time to adopt it, right? Like I always give people the example of like when you used to take a taxi, you never thought in your wildest dreams when I was young that I'd be able to open up this iPhone that's like a small computer and book a random person to come pick me up in an Uber. And now it's just part of what you do day to day. Like you need to think like ahead of time. And how I think about this with real estate terms is I think that you'll have different robots building homes and like speeding up processes. Like you could work a robot 24 hours.
Right.
It, I don't know if they're going to be able to like do like crazy things like plumbing and harder jobs like electrical, but maybe they'll be able to do like laborious jobs, right? Like putting together framing or putting up drywall or like, laying floor. I don't know for sure.
Our other producer that's not here today looked in, like, he's very up to date on this type of stuff. And he was telling me that the AI and robots that I guess are in trial are teaching themselves things, and the people that program them are confused as to how they're teaching themselves because it wasn't part of the algorithm or whatever it is that was essentially built into the robot. So in hearing that, and I haven't done too much research on that type of conversation, but it just reminds me of iRobot. When the robots are so helpful and they go get the person groceries.
That's a good movie, actually.
And then they turn bad. And it's like those robots were programmed to not hurt anybody. And what were the three? They had 3 rules. Yeah. And then once one rule was broken.
But even think about like a robot in terms of like safety, going into like a burning building. Or like say there's, God forbid a shooting somewhere and they can go in with a robot and stop the shooter because like obviously a cop can't go in there guns ablazing because they're a human being. If they get hit by a bullet, it's really bad. But yeah, what if they do turn? I don't know. That's a conspiracy
that
I can't touch
think
upon.
About. But you know what the craziest thing in this whole AI realm is that, and I was watching a documentary on the CIA, I guess they're what do they call it? Like when they wear masks, like camouflage, or essentially. So it reminds me of Mission Impossible. Remember when he puts on the mask and he looks identical to the other guy in Mission Impossible 3? Okay, so they look so real, these masks now, that you wouldn't be able to decipher between a real human essentially or if a robot was wearing a human mask, right? So now all of a sudden, do we have to question reality? Are we interacting with another human or essentially just interacting with ourselves because it's AI behind something that looks human?
No, I know it's crazy. And like, even for like investment purposes, like I'm always trying to find ways to see where the puck is going. And like Tesla's like making robots, like they have full self-driving. Like people think Tesla stock is only like a car company.
Yeah.
And I'm not pumping Tesla stock. Do your own research. But like, it's interesting to see that they're like this company that has so many different companies within a company.
Right. Have you heard about the Neuralink?
Yes.
That
was crazy.
That freaks me out.
Like putting something into someone's brain. It's like,
and there's a ton of people that have signed up for trial.
Well, there was one guy, he was paraplegic or neck down. I forget what that's called, but he couldn't move. He had an accident, but his brain was fully functioning. And he loved chess, but he obviously couldn't play with the chess pieces. But he put the Neuralink in his brain, and he was able to move. But he was able to move chess pieces with his brain.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Oh, it was digital. Like he wasn't like using a force where the chess pieces were moved, but it was digital, and he was playing chess.
Yeah.
And he was so excited, and he was so happy.
It did make a couple mistakes, I think, when they tested that. But for the most part, what his brain was thinking of where he wanted the chess piece to go, it did
crazy.
It is so.
Anyways, next topic here, because we're going down a conspiracy rabbit, and we are a real estate podcast for the most part. But okay, so spring housing market surge unlikely as affordability, cost of living weighs on buyers. So after 5 straight holds of the Bank of Canada, they're actually speaking today. Key interest rates that followed its hiking cycle of more than 1 year. Economists say a rebound awaits the national housing market, but don't expect a big surge just yet. The central bank is expected to again hold its key rate steady when it announces its decision on Wednesday, but it's unclear what direction it will take next. With modest cuts likely in store later this year, some forecasts call for those to begin as soon as June. It could take months before buyers are confident enough to come crawling back from the sidelines. That uncertainty may keep buyers cautious throughout the spring, said TD Bank economist Rishi Sandhi. So my take on this is like these markets are very dependent on where you are, if you're in Toronto, if you're in Hamilton, I find it's a huge difference. People are cautious though.
Oh yeah.
People are very, very cautious right now. And as you should be. The economy is not, we don't know where it's going. The States is no doubt chugging along. Their economy is doing really, really well. And the Canadian economy is not doing well.
Yeah.
So will that force Tiff Macklin's hand to have a rate cut in June? Probably.
Yeah.
And these rates are going to be so small. Like, you know, even if you drop the overnight rate by 100 basis points, like rates are still in the fives. Yeah. So it's just like, although rate cuts might be coming, and I do think when the rate cuts come, the market will see a bit of an uptick in terms of like people gaining confidence, coming back into the market.
And they won't want to miss the prices of where they're at, and a little bit of FOMO. Like, I find that the market usually responds to FOMO a lot, right? 100%. When everybody's doing something, that attracts more people of, I don't want to miss out. But it should almost be the opposite. When nobody's buying, that might be
it's so much more peaceful. It's so much more peaceful.
Yeah, it's like, it's always like one way.
I love this. Go sleep on it. Yeah. You know, I love saying that. Not like when it's crazy. It's like, well, there's 2 offers. Do you want to buy this today?
Exactly.
Because that's when you don't make the best decision. Like, I hate to say it when you're rushed, but I don't know where the market's going. Truthfully, no one knows. Like, CMHC said in 2 years we'll be up 20% across the board.
They said, I heard a news article they were saying on the TV. I was at my parents' house. They were saying in the background that it should be back to peak prices, which I guess the 20% increase, like you're saying, by 2026.
Yeah. So on the last pod, I talked about this, but basically what a lot of people aren't factoring in is that any policy you see today will change because Trudeau is not going to be in office in 2025. So every policy you see right now is him trying to gain votes. So like, take that with a grain of salt because he won't be in. Right. And it's not me hating on Trudeau. Although I don't like the policies that he has in place, the polls are telling a different story that Canada wants change. So let's just leave it at that. But Ben Rabideau, he was on the Loonie Hour podcast and he consults for the federal government. Yep. So he consulted Christina Freeland when they had these immigration targets. And he said to her, this is a bad idea. Like, you are overshooting all your targets. Yeah. And this will be bad for the economy. She didn't listen. And now the Liberal government is saying they're going to cut back on the amount of people that come to Canada.
So they're doing something and then kind of backtracking a little bit. And that's happened a few times, actually. So he put something into effect and then he's like, whoops, didn't mean to do that. And then backtrack. And then all of a sudden now it's like cap on international students and all this. But rewind 6 months, it was like full steam ahead on hitting these immigration targets. This is good. So he completely does a 180 with even what he's saying. Like, he puts out conflicting.
Yeah. And let's make this clear. This isn't the fault of the international students. This isn't the fault of the non-permanent residents. This is the fault of the federal government having policies that are irresponsible and not taking things seriously when consultants and economists are telling you that you should probably slow down and rethink what you're doing. And now again, you're backtracking. So Ben Rabideau, he was saying that the 1.2 million people that came in last year, over the course of a couple of years from now, if the Liberals were in power and their plan today, that would cut that from 1.2 million to about 250,000. So it's about a 5x decrease in the amount of people that they're going to let in. So you know how every realtor's like immigration. So we're going to see a huge drop in immigration. Then you're going to see, last year we saw about 400,000 Canadian-born people leave the country. So you have that pressure coming in. So are we going to see this decrease in population where actually supply could catch up with demand and real estate prices just level out for the next 5 years? Maybe. So it's a theory that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, is that we've had so many people flood the system. What about people leaving? What about them capping the numbers? Will Pierre Poilievre cap those numbers even harder? Maybe. So anyways, just a way to look at it.
That's why it's like real estate doesn't always have to be geared to, like, it should be geared to your life too. Yeah. Right. And is this somewhere you can see yourself and your family in for 25 years? Like, at one point it will be without a mortgage on it. And it could be something that you use as part of your retirement plan. Yeah. But there's too much going on that people think that they could lose, and they don't want to buy when economic uncertainty is so high that the market just right now is crazy.
It's just, this is
so ridiculous.
This is the real issue, is that people got used to making 200 grand, 300 grand tax-free. And people think that's the normal now. So when you help people buy houses today, like, a lot of them just think, oh yeah, like I could sell this in a couple of years and make a couple hundred. Money. Yeah. Like, that's the problem. And I'm always just full stop. Like, no. If you don't have a 5-year plan, like, I can't guarantee nothing. We don't know what's going to happen. Like, you need to think of this place as not You can think of it as an asset, but think of it also as something where I'm going to grow my family.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to put a little bit of money into it. No one can kick me out.
Yeah.
I got some principal pay down.
Yeah.
And hopefully it keeps up with inflation, becomes a good store of value. You can't think, like, I know my condo that I bought for $500K. I know it's never going to be $2 million.
Right.
Unless the dollar devalues so much that real estate prices go up. But our parents had a different story. And we won't have the same story.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say to a lot of people, like, your house won't be worth $2 million. But like I said, it could keep up with inflation. No one's going to kick you out.
Yeah.
Pay down the principal. You got a good home. You raise your kids, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's my rant for today.
I like it. I like it.
You want to read the third one?
Yeah. Okay. Amidst Canada's housing crisis, CMHC gave out $27 million in bonuses. Huh. Interesting. The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation is raising eyebrows after it was determined that the federal corporation gave out $27.2 million in bonuses. According to a report by the Canadian Taxpayer Federation, an advocacy group, 98% of CMHC employees received $27.2 million in bonuses in 2023. Over 2,200 employees received an average bonus of $11,800, including the bonuses handed out in 2023. The total since 2020 has reached $102 million. In addition, the report states that 1,073 CMHC bureaucrats receive a six-figure salary each year, costing taxpayers $140 million in 2023. CMHC aims to focus on sustainability and stability in Canada's housing system through programs and research. It's also a resource for newcomers looking for housing in Canada and assists with affordable and market rental housing.
I'm sorry, am I lost?
What?
Like, isn't they're supposed to give research and focus on affordability and market rental research, which they do good research, don't get me wrong, but we don't have affordability. And how are we giving out taxpayers money in bonuses? What am I missing here?
That's a crazy article.
Isn't that crazy? Like, should we go work for CMHC?
I want to read more about that.
Yeah, I can send you the other article, but I think it's crazy. Like, wait, this is a program that's supposed to be sustainable for housing, and they're getting, if you get paid six figures, the economy isn't that great. Like, I get it. Like, six figures doesn't go as far as it once did.
Yeah.
But it's just weird that, like, they're not a business where they're creating a product and people are buying that product. They're funded by taxpayer money.
Yeah. There's these government officials that are just making more money. We need more homes, not more government officials just making more money.
It's crazy. How many people work there?
That's insanity.
Yeah, it's like, what? How many people are getting paid at this corporation?
The number of CMHC employees earning over $100,000 per year increased by 27% between 2018 and 2022.
That's nuts to me. I just thought that was a quick one that we could touch upon, but I was just wondering, like, I've always seen CMHC, and I know they do financing and they have programs that are good, so I don't want to like diss them too much, but it seems like a lot of employees are working there just to do research.
So they have a rebuttal. They said CMHC is committed to recognizing employee performance and contributions to the organization through cash compensation, which includes a blend of base pay and incentive pay. The total compensation offered by CMHC as an employer, including base salaries and incentive pay, are an important tool for attracting and retaining the employees we need to carry out our work and deliver on important programs for Canadians. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's funded by taxpayers' money, though. So that's the only thing I'm not too sure of, but something to think about.
Wild.
Who's paying who in this situation? But
there's so many things that are just behind the scenes. Every article, just you can trace it back to just different. Like there's so much going on behind the scenes.
All the public sector jobs, like the thing that what creates a productive economy is when you create a good or service that people are willing to pay for.
Right.
Like if you just create public service jobs by taxing people, it's not a productive way. And a lot of our jobs are public service.
Right.
Ottawa and out that way is a lot. And it's grown, it's ballooned. I think it was over 20% since Trudeau got into power are public servant jobs. And I'm not saying they're all useless. Don't take it as that, but it's just how many people do you need working for the government?
That's an interesting point. Like a productive economy is like, for example, I think it was Jordan Peterson I was listening to, where it's like somebody opens a cafe or something and is selling an orange he used, and then somebody comes and buys the orange for $1, and both people are better off because that orange was worth more than $1 for that person that wanted it. And then that person also got the dollar. So it's better off. So both people benefit. So there is a way an economy works where both the seller essentially or the consumer are both better off having made that transaction.
Agree.
Right. But lately it's been tipped. Like there's just been too much of a disconnect between.
Yeah, we talk about it on this show too, is just how does Canada become more productive, and it's using the natural resources, which I know a lot of people who are very for the environment, which I am too, but everything we do involves oil still. Like we're just not there yet.
Yeah.
So we should produce oil. And what people need to understand is like all these programs that you want to fund, like the kids program where they have lunches given to them, it's a new one, and dental and all those things that can be done through taxation of selling commodities.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you want to drill the oil in the best way you possibly can for the environment, but we're still using oil. So why import it from Saudi Arabia? Why import it from a dictatorship country? Why not do it here until we have the solutions for better energy? Or maybe you could even take the profits from oil and invest that into research into how we could use hydroelectric dams or how we could get more charging stations or something along those lines.
I think it's also the infrastructure too, to just tap our oil reserves. Like we have that long, I don't even know what you call it, to Texas or something.
Oh yeah, it's the pipeline. Is that?
Yeah, because I think that Canada is among the highest producers of oil.
I think we're 4th or 5th or something.
Yeah, so
but we've cut back a lot.
Yeah, but we are up there, and it's built like the infrastructure in Texas that they have to actually be able to refine it. Right, that's what we need is like the refineries. Like we can tap the oil, but then the refineries like that, the infrastructure alone. I guess Canada is just not up to the same level as other countries are in terms of getting that all built and done.
We'll see how it goes, right? The next election's coming up and every policy is going to be stripped and changed. So
have you seen all the, like, for example, the eclipse of Justin Trudeau, but then Pierre coming over?
It's so funny.
There's some
people that make these memes are hilarious.
If I'm being completely honest, I think Pierre Poilievre is very, very right wing, like too much, like just it's like so putting it all down. And like there's some policies Justin Trudeau has that have been good, especially for like, you know, people that don't make a lot of money in social services and stuff. So there is his set of voters that have benefited from his policies. And of course the economy is kind of in shambles, and it did start with the world pandemic. But the way the communication and the just like the hostility of watching anything to do with politics, it's just like our world is like an angry place. And so he reminds me of just like, you know, and not to say any, like, I don't even want to get into talking about Trump because people are so divided with that. But I think the way these politicians are speaking, it is such a divide. And then like, remember when Stephen Harper was running versus the other parties, it wasn't so much of like an angry divide. It's just you vote for who you want in policy.
It's because when you have economic turmoil, there becomes divide.
Yeah, and so there's just so much hostility when politics get brought up anywhere. And then to people like take it to their core, like it is affecting their core beliefs if you have a different opinion on politics. And so I try to stay away from it a little bit.
It's funny that people get so triggered by it. Like, how can you like Trudeau? And if I met someone and they like Trudeau, like I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Does not
just
mean
is what it is.
Right.
Like, I don't like his policies. I I'm excited for him to get out of power. Just that's my personal opinion. And Pierre is obviously going to come in. I like a lot of his policies that he's going to put in. And hopefully they work. Hopefully Canada can become a more affordable place to live. And
if it does, like, let's say Canada becomes more affordable. Okay, what does that look like? Do house prices come down? That's not happening. Like, they're not coming down.
Yeah, we really don't know what that looks like. It's just going to be a time thing.
Yeah, and what does it look like for Canada to be affordable? Because there's inflation. So unless we have deflation, meaning it's just not growing anymore, it's actually negative, meaning prices are coming down rather than just growing at whatever the inflation rate is. I don't see that happen. I don't see deflation happening. And then I don't see prices coming coming down too, because again, there's so much wealth, Canadians' wealth in their real estate. That's its own problem on its own.
Yeah.
Right? The people that are already in the market, if their house value is now 50% of what they paid, like then that's a problem in and of itself. So, Canadian wages do we talk about that? But then we have AI coming in and almost replacing some of these
Yeah, I wish we could.
jobs. So it's like Canada being affordable. Like, what does that look like? Either you need to be paid more or prices need to come down. I don't see prices coming down. Maybe inflation will slow, and I don't see wages I don't see them increasing at any sort of crazy rate, especially with the level of productivity that AI will be able to offer. So it's like a good question to ask. Okay, what does that look like, Canada to be affordable? People want prices to be slashed in half. But then what? Then that will drive inflation again, because now everything's affordable. So you're going on trips and everything. Now all of a sudden prices go up when there's more demand. So it has to be a realistic topic when people, like, what do you want, right? To say, oh, I want things to be more affordable. Like, to break that down in the way most people want to see it, it's like there's its own set of consequences over here. So what is the answer?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I posted this on our we'll finish off the podcast here, but posted those pictures, and it said Pierre Poilievre says he's not going to accept the idea that an entire generation will give up on having kids, owning a home, building home equity, and living a good life. So when you read stuff like that, you start to resonate with somebody, and that's what Pierre Poilievre has done really well. Like, let's hope he sticks to his plan, sticks to his guns of finding ways to have that happen.
Yeah,
I think that's like a hopeful future that we can have for Canada, because there are a lot of people who want kids and want a family, but it's just not realistic for them. And that is a sad reality. So
I still like the idea that even like if CMHC hopped on the train of, to even build communities, because we're very dense, right? The further you go, there's less infrastructure. But to incentivize people to, build up communities where you buy land, and then CMHC would do a mortgage of construction loans so you can build a house, less red tape on getting approvals,
more density around areas that need it. I think like the permit process can be sped up so quickly just through AI.
Yeah.
I think there's all these little things that seem so easy. One thing too is I think that the IRS needs to start getting involved in mortgages. They need to start confirming that people are making what they're making, so these fraudulent mortgages stop happening. They do that in the States, so we can do it here. CRA, yeah. Sorry, the IRS in the US does it. So they confirm the income. There's just too many scams out there, and I think it's ridiculous. And I think that offer dates need to get a lot more transparent. Who's bringing the offer? Who's the agent? Like, not just people writing fake offers that are under.
A lot of the things that were in place back in the day, like you showed up in person with your offer, with your clients waiting in the car, and you had a chance to go in and present.
So much better.
Yeah. I mean, that gets tough if I had to do that with the offer, but I mean, that's how it used to be. And then even like if you look at the wartime bungalows in Hamilton, back to when we spoke about the catalogs of you chose a home, because a lot of them are the same kind of footprint with minor differences.
Yeah.
You chose a home and they're all very, single families with an in-law suite, and they're all built kind of the same.
I'd love to buy a house with an in-law suite. The pre-construction, if that ever happened one day, I'd be all on board. 2 separate hydrometers, I'd be in.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah. But you only see them in like you don't see that often in Oakville or Burlington. You see it very often in Hamilton for sure.
And they were all built that way via catalog. In the wartime, you picked your house essentially.
Yeah.
And then the permit process obviously was way quicker. So just like the catalog that they came out, it's like if you pick the house, the approval's already in place because the government's almost offering, the choices. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
That would speed things along. And then essentially the mortgage, you would need to be able to mortgage the construction aspect and then refinance it when it's built.
Yeah.
Into a mortgage.
Yeah.
Because nobody can afford the construction of just building. Like, who has $500,000 minimum for a house this big, I
agree. Couldn't agree more. So anyways, great pod today. You brought the energy. I liked it.
I know I've had to apologize a couple times. However, I was told I'm not allowed to be late anymore because I'm usually late because I come from further than Cortez, and I got here and nobody was here. So
we gave her a taste of her own medicine, I think. That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thanks so much for watching. Again, if you want to ever book a call with Brooke or I, it's totally free. There's no sales tactics like you see on these courses that they offer. We have no course to sell you. We just want to see if we would be good realtors for you, and we fit the bill. So book a call down below in the description. If you can please like and subscribe to this video. It helps the algorithm so much. And if you're not on YouTube and you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. It just helps our business grow, and it allows us to keep doing this for you guys every single week. And if you want short form content, we're on Instagram, TikTok, as well as YouTube Shorts. So if you want to follow us on any of those platforms, you can get your daily dose of education every single day about Canadian real estate and the economy. So thanks again for watching. We appreciate you guys. It's been a whole year, and this podcast has been better than we could ever imagine. So thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.